welcoming and applauding to someone. So we are having today, thank you so much, Arzish. We are having today additional opening keynote about the very important, as I mentioned, the topic for today, about the blockchain, which is to empower everyone. As we already observing, this is happening already throughout the years. I'm really pleased to welcome on the stage Jimmy Wing, founding president at BSV Blockchain Association. Jimmy is a global advocate for BSV blockchain, educating the world about the power of BSV blockchain. Jimmy is a renowned public speaker, media commentator who speaks about blockchain technology at events across the globe. He joined Unchain, which is the leading blockchain research and development firm, and then helped launch the BSV Blockchain Association after a 21-year career as intellectual property and digital technology lawyer. He has been a certified information privacy professional US over his legal career, professional in the US, over his legal career, Jimmy was a partner at 3 major US law firms. He's, as I mentioned, world top Bitcoin and blockchain advocates, public speaker, global ambassador for Bitcoin as we. Please give him a big hand, Jimmy Wing.
Thanks so much, Maria. Good morning. It's so happy for me to be here in Pakistan finally after a lot of effort for the last year to get us here. I'm here to tell you how blockchain technology is for everyone. And I do mean everyone. Blockchain is a powerful new way to store, manage, empower, and even monetize data for governments, for enterprises, for all of us as individual consumers and users. And it is the data infrastructure backbone, just like the internet in the 1990s became the new backbone for how we share and communicate information. Blockchain technology will be the data infrastructure for a new way to empower and monetize data, and will be that also for digital Pakistan. Because I know here in this country you have a big effort to try and create a digital Pakistan strategy. And I am trying to get this is not working. Folks, thank you. Digital Pakistan has been a vision and policy that has been expressed by your Ministry of IT and Telecom, as well as your Prime Minister. And it is something that not just Pakistan, but many countries are trying to create a new, more powerful digital version of their country. I'm going to describe to you today how blockchain technology is critical to be that data infrastructure for digital Pakistan, and importantly, how it will empower everyone. Later in the afternoon, I'll be talking a little bit more about how government and enterprises can use BSV blockchain and all blockchain technologies. But today, I want to focus on you as an individual person and how blockchain technology can empower you. Folks, this is, I would get this further, but hey, folks, thank you. Hey guys, I need a new remote. This is not working. Thank you. Thank you guys. Is there another one? Okay, thank you. All right, it's a little slow. Thank you. So as Arj just mentioned, yesterday we had the benefit of having a terrific meeting at the President's Palace and got to speak and hear his thoughts, importantly, about the future of blockchain technology and how it's useful for this country. And one of the things that I noticed as he was having his social media account, because I love that the President of Pakistan has a very robust Twitter account, tweeted about that meeting, saying that he called for developing and training human resource in this country, particularly the developers, as well as the leading executive professionals in fields such as blockchain, AI, cybersecurity, and big data to meet the requirements of the 4th industrial revolution. In addition, they also talked about how he underlined the need for creating awareness about the importance of blockchain technology so that both public and private sectors can benefit from it. But here's the point I really want to hone in on. He stated that Obviously, blockchain technology is a powerful tool for tracking transactions, reducing corruption, and increasing transparency. But I love that the account honed in on needing an inclusive approach that's systemic to adopting blockchain technology. Because inclusion is important to make sure people of all socioeconomic levels, all genders, all backgrounds have access to the benefits of blockchain technology. So I'm here to tell you why BSV blockchain in particular, given its scaling power, is the blockchain for everyone, everywhere, and everything. So today, with my time, I want to talk about 3 key things. Just very quickly, to give you an understanding of how I view what is a blockchain, to describe the capabilities of BSV's blockchain to power the data infrastructure that empowers everyone, and finally, how we're actually doing that with some real-life applications that are in the works. So when we think about blockchain technology, I want to emphasize that it's really just an evolution of data storage. We moved from a field where data was put in computer servers in big physical rooms, then to the cloud, which is where it exists mostly now. And having a meeting yesterday at Jazz Business and talking with some of their cloud services professionals, we see a parallel between blockchain technology, which distributes the data among many, many participants in a network, as well as cloud, which still has one central company, but stores the data that you access in many different places. It is the next evolution of how we manage and store data. It also helps solve a key problem, which is intermediaries. One of the issues in our world of business is that there's too many people, companies in the middle of how data moves. Think about this chart of how customs and shipping is managed. Too many individual participants in a data flow, which causes cost and inefficiency. Blockchain technology can help solve such things. For example, I would like this slide to go next. What it does is take a ledger, and instead of having one person, as you see in this diagram, in the middle, keeping control of the information is updated, recorded, managed by multiple nodes across a network. So there's not just one copy of the ledger, there's multiple ones. And because you're recording not just payments, which is what people think about, you also record data. And that's distributed, and therefore it makes it harder to cheat about the data. It makes it easier for everyone across the world to access the same data at the same time. They're not relying on one person in the middle to update the data. And from a monetary perspective, it makes it easier to move value, monetary value, because you don't have all of those intermediaries that are involved in today's payment processing system, and therefore makes money movement much more efficient. Right? Just gonna keep going here. Thank you. If you could just bring, thank you. So the blockchain, imagine if you have on the bottom here, blocks that record information, everything from pictures, multimedia files, healthcare records, smart contracts, and these are all people across the world accessing that data at the same time. And when you can access that data at the same time, then you can create a network where all of us are participants in a big, vibrant digital economy, where we're recording to the blockchain, for example, your children post social media images. Instead of in a server, that goes onto a blockchain. People who create music, movie, entertainment content can actually record their data file onto a distributed blockchain as opposed to an Amazon Web Service, a server. Your healthcare data, people are talking about managing and placing on a blockchain so it's publicly accessible. Supply chain data that moves around the world can be placed on a blockchain. Government records, contracts, public information, things that we all want to access from our government can be placed and accessed publicly on a blockchain. And once all of this data lives on a system that we can all access around the world and no one person controls, we can all be exchanging tiny, tiny amounts of micropayments to access, use that data, to get someone's music file, to pay, to get your healthcare data if I'm a pharmaceutical company wanting to do drug research. The possibilities of what you can do with data that's publicly accessible, not controlled by one person, and has a mechanism to actually send tiny, tiny amounts of payments opens up the world to a very powerful vision. And that vision includes what we believe is the most powerful blockchain in the world, BSV. And let me tell you a little bit about it. And we encourage, by the way, governments, businesses, developers to explore all of the blockchains out there. People need to evaluate all the possible solutions. But one of the things that blockchains have faced in terms of problems is scale. How much data can it hold efficiently? And how much does it cost to put the data on the chain and to use the data? If it costs too much because the blockchain doesn't hold enough data, then it's not effective. And that's the main thing that BSV is trying to solve. What we've done is massively scaled blockchain protocol so that we can create a data network that is the most efficient, not just for payments, but all forms of information. Think about the early days of the internet and how slow it was to download an MP3 music file. I used to wait an hour at my computer at home and just get so excited when that music file would finally play. We would not have Spotify and robust music streaming services today if the internet capacity did not scale. Blockchain will not power a new digital Pakistan or new digital any country if blockchains cannot scale. And that is the big problem that has been happening and why you don't actually see more blockchain use in real life. How are we dealing with that? Well, we're confronting problems that Ethereum, which for a long time people thought was going to be the business enterprise-friendly blockchain. But when you send a transaction across the Ethereum network, whoever's sending it has to pay what's called a gas fee. It's like putting gas in a car and sending it across a highway. Here's a chart of what the gas fees are for one individual Ethereum transaction on the chain for the last year. And it's really jumped up and down from a low of $3.80 US cents, this is in US dollar terms, to a high of almost $70 US to send one transaction. You cannot use that at mass scale. People who are minting these NFTs you hear about around the world, you're paying $80, $100 US to create one digital JPEG NFT. If you want to create a financial system, a healthcare data system, voting records, creating an electronic voting process that is tracked on a blockchain, imagine how much it would cost for the country of Pakistan to put all of his votes one by one recorded on a blockchain if it cost $70 US for every vote count. It's not sustainable. So what we've done with BSV is because we've scaled so big and our blockchain can handle huge amounts of data and a huge transaction volume, is brought the cost down exceptionally low. To send a payment on the BSV network costs 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent. 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent, which is almost, not quite, almost free. If you want to add bigger files of data, like a whole music file, it costs more. You pay for the amount of data, but it's still very, very inexpensive. And this is what a country, a big enterprise, developers who want to create consumer applications need if they want to create blockchain applications that work at scale, because this opens up many, many possibilities. For example, and just to give you an example, this is just a range of what the fees are over the median of about 9 months in 2021. It's not always, 1/25th of a cent. Some people put bigger files, so it costs a little bit more. But the median fee, the mean transaction fee, for those 9 months ranged from 3/100th of a cent to 3.5 cents. Still very, very inexpensive. As we scale bigger, we think those numbers will get even lower, just like your internet capacity and what you pay for internet has gotten less and less generally over time. That's a really simple concept. Scale the blockchain and you can actually do a lot more of it. So let me tell you a little bit about BSV. We scale bigger than any other public chain. Through test software we're releasing this year, we've demonstrated the capacity to do 50 to 100,000 transactions per second on the chain. The cost is low, as I mentioned, 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent. This opens up business models, as I'll explain, where you can do micropayments. This is not a blockchain network, which you need for millionaires and billionaires to send $1 million US across the world. Today's financial system already allows people to do that. This is a blockchain network where I can create a business model to send you 1 US penny, 1 Pakistani rupee. Why would you do that? Well, we'll explain it creates a lot of opportunities to monetize information, data, and our digital experience. It's energy efficient because of that, and also it has the technical capabilities of smart contracts, tokenization, computation. You can actually do computation on this chain because it's scripting language, as we call it. It's a computer programming language built into the protocol, allows it. And because it's a public chain, meaning no one person controls it, this is what people look for in blockchain, so that if you, for example, you're trying to count the votes of your next election, there's a more public trust in the accuracy of the vote count. You'll record who voted, not who they voted for, but at least the count of the vote will have more trust in the public. Therefore, we think it's the ideal blockchain for consumers, enterprises, as well as big government. I want to focus now on how this opens up the world of data as a new oil. We've heard a lot over the last few years that data is the new oil. It's the most valuable commodity of our digital era. And I believe that BSV at scale is an informational commodity. It's a network to exchange, move across data, and that has value. And then there's ways to pay for that value and give it to someone else. So because of the scale of BSV, we're seeing a diverse set of use cases all across the world. And here's a diagram of some of them. I won't discuss them all, but everything from identity management, the metaverse is a huge topic, healthcare data, reg tech to enforce regulatory compliance, supply chain management, Internet of Things, as well as the compliance with ESG goals. A lot of companies talk about they're environmentally friendly, but do we really know they're complying with those goals? There's mechanisms you can use the power of blockchain technology to advance those goals. And because of the scale, we're seeing over the last few weeks BSV's transaction capacity surpass all of the other leading chains. This is a diagram from a website that tracks how many transactions are going across blockchain networks every day in the 24-hour count. And this is just from about a week ago on January 12th. You can see BSV that day had over 4 million daily transactions, over 54% of the transactions on these competing chains. Most of that was from an esports game, which I'll talk about, which is sending a lot of data to the chain to make sure people don't cheat in esports games because people are betting on them by actually recording all of the moves in a game to a blockchain so you can verify them later. So now I want to talk about how blockchain technology is being used with particular applications to empower every person across the world. And let me start with money. Even though we don't talk a lot about money value when it comes to BSV, moving money across the world is exceptionally important, especially for countries that need to receive remittance payments. And I know Pakistan is one of them, just like the Philippines, for example, where over 80% of people in the Philippines do not have a bank account. And therefore, they use digital wallets, mobile money, sometimes mobile credits to move money. And when you have migrant workers who leave a country and try to send money back to their friends and family, remittance services typically charge anywhere from 6 to 8% of the actual amount. So migrant workers are losing a lot of the value they're working for in order to get money back to their home countries. Well, one of the companies on our BSV blockchain, a company called SentB in South Africa, has launched a remittance product called Minute Money. It's now operating in a number of countries which uses BSV as a settlement ledger for payments, not sending really the tokens themselves, but just like the SWIFT network is used to settle them across banks, to more efficiently allow you to send money to a friend or family in your home country. So what it does is charge, because they need to make money too. They charge now currently in the Africa market 50 South African rand. That's about $3.25 in the United States, about 570 PKR here, to send any amount of money. Not a percentage, but any amount. So you don't want to use this to send a tiny amount of money, but once you start sending over about 80, 100 US dollars, right, maybe about 10,000 PKR, it becomes worthwhile because you are paying a less of a fee than you would send or pay if you were using a traditional remittance service. So this is really powerful, and they are actually having lots of expansion. They're going across the world, And they are currently available in these countries. You'll see in Africa. They're expanding to European and North American markets. And how it works is basically, if you want to send money, you either have a bank transfer if you have a bank account, or they have arrangements with many retail store chains across African countries where you can go physically into a grocery store, a convenience store, give cash. They essentially take the cash, convert it to a digital token on the BSV network, send it to the receiving end. That receiver receives it, and then the recipient can come to the physical location or to their bank account and receive the funds. And so it's done much more instantly. You don't have to wait a week to make sure the funds transfer through remittance, and for much less of a fee. So this is a perfect example of how blockchain technology can empower everyone, particularly people at lower socioeconomic levels. This is just not working. And so I also want to talk about the power of micropayments. Micropayments are really, really big in power. I say that a lot. Small payments equal big power. I'll give you an example. There's a company in Australia by two young developers who won one of our hackathons that we run. They created a product called Coda, because there are a lot of developers, especially here in Pakistan, that are freelancers. They're spending their time creating software, APIs. They put them out onto the internet for free, usually on these repositories like GitHub. And they do it because developers like to help each other and create an open source community. But they don't make any money on those software elements because there isn't an easy way to do it. Coda created an API marketplace. So if you're any developer, including a freelancer, you've developed some tool, doesn't have to be a whole software program, just some tool that solves one little problem, you can upload it to their marketplace, and then other developers or companies, if you use that API, you pay them with small amounts of micropayments for every pull, every individual use. So it creates for developers an opportunity using the micropayment power of BSV to make small amounts of money per use. So you're not paying for subscription, it's like paying for every single time you use that software plug element in your bigger software application. So there's a lot of power in those small micropayments. Haste Arcade is a company in the United States which actually takes this to another level for video games. I was a big video game player when I was a kid, and I used to go to the arcade, stick my quarter in to play Space Invaders or Pac-Man or Street Fighter. And if you were really good, you got to the leaderboard, right? You could put in your initials and you go, yay, I got on the leaderboard. But did you make any money from that? No money from video games. But now you can. What they've done is created a platform which has a concept called instant leaderboard payout. You pay to play a video game, any online game that connects to their system. Let's say you pay 20 US cents. If you get to the leaderboard, the top 10 or 20, every player who comes after you, you get the top score. All these people over here, they don't beat your score, you get a tiny fraction of all of their payments. And the platform and the game keeps a tiny fraction because BSV allows the capability to send a penny, under a penny. So this is a powerful, yet such a simple concept that can revolutionize the video game world and allow people, I know you don't want your kids playing games all day, but they can actually play to earn. So if they're gonna be playing, don't you want them at least to be earning some money and trying to learn fiscal responsibility at a young age? In the broader competitive esports world, which is really huge these days, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry where players are competing against each other in tournaments and matches. There's a company called Fix Gaming in the United States, which has launched a game called Crypto Fights, which again has this micropayment capability. But they also use the blockchain for data integrity. Because esports has become so big, people are betting on esports matches and tournaments now. And people sometimes think the players cheat. They manipulate the games. Well, they take every battle move in what is like a Dungeons and Dragons dice game. You roll a dice, your avatar, chop somebody with an axe or hit someone with a sword. Every move gets recorded separately to the BSV blockchain as a data entry so that you can go back and analyze all of the games, see trends, even recreate a game. And you can only do that because it is so cheap to put individual data points on the chain. And because the chain is public, you can go back and verify the authenticity and the reliability of every game move and what every game player does. So it's an example of the power of really doing new things. You can also empower music artists. This is a platform based out of the UK, which is launching, where as a music artist, you take your file, instead of going to a record label and needing to get a deal from a big record company, you put it on the blockchain, it gets distributed across the internet, and every time someone streams it, downloads it, they pay you. And a lot of music is complicated because there's multiple people who are rights holders in songs. Let's say there's 4 people who write a song. They each want their cut. Right now, they do that through this complicated audit process, or they do sampling, and you get a check at the end of the year or once every quarter. Here, you can instantly get paid your 25% of every 5 cents that is paid to stream a song, for example. And that is really, really powerful when you start thinking about that, how it empowers individual artists. In addition, monetizing your healthcare data is also really, really important. It's not something we think about. We think about, I go to the doctor records my data, or the dentist, they have it. Well, it's really your data. So there are companies thinking about how to use blockchain technology to change that, invert the equation so you have more ownership, empowerment over your data. EHR Data is a company in the United States which is trying to create the first electronic healthcare records platform on our blockchain, so that they, in the future, want to manage all health records in one place. Because right now, all your health records are split over many different places. I have a dentist who has my data over here. My primary care physician, my pharmacy has different data. And it's a big data silo mess. They want to consolidate that all into a blockchain managed system, and also provide the ability for people to actually monetize the data. All right, sorry, thank you. So taking all those data silos and actually trying to collapse them into one accessible blockchain-based application is really important. What can you do with that? You can actually then allow people to make money off their data. In today's world, you as a consumer don't make money off your data. Facebook does, for example, right? They sell data to advertisers. They've created a utility platform where, for example, a pharmaceutical company that wants to research a particular possible drug can make a request. I want all data of men 20 to 35 who live in Karachi, who've had this medical condition, have taken this prescription. The utility will then inform everyone who fits into that demographic class, do you want to provide your data to this company? If you opt in, they'll pay you. And once they pay, then all of the participants in the data system, the chain, the doctor, the pharmacy, whoever, gets paid a tiny amount of the fee. And therefore, you as a patient and a consumer can actually start thinking about your data as something you own and have value in, and actually can control more, rather than having your doctor give out the data if they decide they want to. So that is really, really powerful when you think about how it helps us as consumers. But now let me talk about some things that are a little bit more fun. NFTs are all the craze, and personally I think a lot of the NFT action out there in the blockchain world is just a big, I wouldn't want to call it a scam, but it's gone out of control, right? People are paying huge amounts of money for what is just simply a digital JPEG of an ape, or anything else, that anyone can draw. It just doesn't really make much sense. We're trying to create an NFT ecosystem, BSV, where the NFTs actually have more use, utility, and therefore real value. And because our data capacity is so big, you can actually store the digital asset on chain. What people don't realize when they buy NFTs that are minted on the Ethereum network, for example, because an artist doesn't want to pay $80 to put that JPEG file on the Ethereum network. So most Ethereum-based NFTs do not live on the blockchain. The ownership record does, but the actual art file lives in some AWS server or some offline server. Because BSV holds such greater data capacity, all of the NFTs being generated on BSV can actually be put on chain because it's so inexpensive to do so. It's more secure and opens up more technical capabilities because the file lives on chain. So these are some of the NFTs that are coming. There's a game called Galactic Mice where you buy battle mice. Right now it's just a JPEG, but they're launching a game next month where your NFT will be the character you play in the game and will gain experience and battle points and weapons. And so therefore the NFT you're buying accrues value over time. Dogs is a pet you can buy, and you can actually add things to the pet and eventually port the pet to multiple other games. Because one of the values of blockchain is because everyone can access it. If I make a dog in Dogs in their app, in the future, they want me to be able to take that dog and play it in the Galactic Mice game, or put it on Facebook, or put it on Instagram, because all of those different applications, they run separately, but they all access one dog in one place on one blockchain. So that is why the verifiably public nature of blockchains is really important. Bullish Art is an NFT marketplace for contemporary artists. But let me tell you about why the BSV blockchain is so useful for this, which is cost. We keep talking about cost. Nifty Jigs is an NFT project on BSV. Last year, they minted over 175,000 digital art NFTs. How much do you think that cost? On Ethereum, it would have been tens of millions of dollars. On BSV, 175 US dollars to mint 175,000 digital NFTs. For young people, developers, companies who want to do promotions and just airdrop, Pepsi, want to airdrop lots of Pepsi can NFTs to people and do marketing. This is exceptionally powerful given the low cost. We can also put entire music files on as NFTs, and then once you buy the NFT of the music file, you as the owner could get a share of all the future revenue of the music file. Because otherwise, why buy a music file as an NFT? It creates an ongoing revenue file that is useful. There's a platform that does this for book publishing, where book authors, they release their book in physical form, but they can mint, let's say, 100 NFTs, which give you a signed copy of the book, or rights to view and see the artist and the author at different times. And then let me talk about quickly, guys, I need this back, thank you. This is very sticky. Environmental compliance. You are actually seeing NFT usage in gamification to help people advance environmental goals. So there's a game platform put together by a team in the US called, that does proof of ESG, creating blockchain tools to allow people to prove they're ESG compliant. They've created an NFT game called Mr. Megawatt and Friends, and it has some games they're launching and some NFTs. Let me give you an example of one of the NFTs, which is called Hemp Power Up. So people talk a lot about cannabis use in the United States as it's been getting legalized, but people don't talk that much about hemp. Hemp is a sister plant that doesn't have the mind-altering effects of cannabis, but is grown in a lot of farms for other uses, for textile use, for industrial use, and because it actually is carbon negative, carbon dioxide negative. When you actually grow hemp, you're reducing CO2 emissions in the world, and therefore there's an environmental benefit to growing more and more hemp. Well, you can buy Hemp Power Up NFTs to use in the game, and it gives you access to their sort of virtual item game store, but 85% of the proceeds for each NFT goes to a hemp farmer in the United States to fund their further growth of hemp and therefore reduce carbon dioxide emission. And in the future, if that farmer tries to claim carbon credits, the NFT holders could receive a portion of the carbon credit revenue. We want a world where blockchain and NFTs are useful. This is a really good example in early stages, but it opens up your mind of what is possible with a blockchain that can scale and handle this type of capacity. Hey guys. And finally, let me talk about the metaverse and the virtual world, since we can't escape it. Like all around the world, we're just hearing metaverse everywhere. So, of course, blockchain technology intersects with that a lot, and there's a company in the United States called Omniscape, or its platform is called that. The company is called Transmira, which has launched an AR and VR platform where you can have virtual items and tokens in a room like this. You could see it on your phone. They've launched virtual real estate where you can buy, the virtual Serena Hotel in Islamabad that lives in its virtual platform as an NFT, and therefore monetize it in the future. And they're also moving to a world where you can actually create avatars of yourself and then put them into this metaverse one day. So I was at an event with them where they brought a big body scanner, and I had myself body scanned from that image to eventually this, which can be ported into different virtual environments, because the file can live on the blockchain, and therefore my virtual avatar can pop into Duro games or Galactic Mice or into Facebook, or wherever I want it, or perhaps a university, educational platform where I could be the teacher and instruct. I could be a doctor talking to a patient virtually in a metaverse to have a consultation as opposed to needing to get together physically. So the possibilities are really, really dramatic. And this is just a video of me that actually getting body scanned recently in Las Vegas, but that's all right, thank you. And so as we go to this world, and this is where I want to start wrapping up, this is the world we're going to be living in one day. It's a little scary when you think about that we're all going to turn into avatars, but it's not about just becoming an avatar like this, which I did last week at the CES trade show in Las Vegas. It's about opening your minds to what a digital Pakistan would look like, what a digital world will look like. And it doesn't all mean we live in virtual environments like that, but it means we're going to start engaging with our data, our content, our actions in blockchain-driven activity for which you might all be receiving or sending tiny amounts of micropayments and money. That has a lot of possibility, and it's also why I'm so excited to be here in Pakistan, because you have a thriving startup market where just last year you saw this huge increase, 450% more money raised by Pakistani startups than in the year before, 2020. We hope that increases this year, and we've already been talking with some partners who are hopefully going to launch and work with us to launch developer training programs, as well as hopefully one day an accelerator and incubator program here to really get people building on all blockchains, but of course we hope in particular on the BSV blockchain. So that's how I think the BSV blockchain becomes the platform of data infrastructure for everyone, everywhere and everything. You can do so many things with it. And as we begin this day and start talking about how blockchain technology can help all things in Pakistan, government, enterprise, consumers, I really want you to open your minds to how scale is important. You cannot leverage the power of blockchain if it costs 80 or 100 US dollars to put anything on the chain. You can with a blockchain that is public, trusted, verifiable, and has the capacity to allow anyone, anywhere in the world, to send any amount of money, any file, any information, and empower everyone around the world.